It's been quite some time since the wizarding world bled into the real world. Oil and water mix to form an absolute dumpster fire. Normies and tourists chiming in, fanning and invigorating the fires of spite. Wars were waged, casualties severe, campaigns started. The world was never the same. So much vitriol, so much hate, so much passion spent over one fucking video game. Nay, over one dreaded author. The dust has settled. Many have moved on, but no one will forget. But before we continue, do you know what else is a stranger to drama and haters? VPNs. Specifically, Surfshark VPN, the sponsor of this video. If you're a traveler or do nothing but consume entertainment, then Surfshark can definitely help you with that. As a traveler, you get to have digital freedom everywhere you go, especially if you're in China or in other countries that has some semblance of censorship or restriction. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi with Surfshark VPN. And as a consumer, you get to have unlimited access to different content in Netflix all over the world. This includes the Wizard movies, which can only be seen on Australian Netflix but isn't normally available everywhere else. And to sweeten the deal, dear traveler/consumer, Surfshark is offering a 30-day money-back guarantee and 3 extra free months. Start surfing on this shark and get the VPN today. Ad over. Hey, it's me, the stranger to drama and haters, and I have been asked by a certain Usagi to tell you my story. I looked upon his eyes and saw that he too knew the flames of war. I just then felt the compulsion to do as he did. So, I will have to be somewhat vulnerable as well to tell you my story. I call myself the stranger to drama and haters, but in reality, I am no stranger to drama and haters. See, I'm a deserter of the Hogwarts Legacy War. I was called by my fury at Pikamee's harassment, and like the Usagi, I knew it would end badly. Both for me and for everyone. Just like the Cocoa War, different enemies, different times, different weapons, but it's the same battlefield as before. War never changes. So anyway, it started back in February of 2023, where gamers all over the world wanted to be wizards. Hogwarts Legacy, the wizard game that would break the internet for the wrong reasons. Many gamers and nerds will relive their childhoods, explore the wizarding world like never before, enjoy a good piece of Harry Potter media that doesn't ruin the lore, like the most recent movies. But the recent movies weren't the only controversial things this franchise produced because they were so terrible. The author herself is actually very controversial. Her opinion on gender and identity politics being controversial to certain demographics. Yikes, dude. Basically, a strong portion of the LGBT community hates her and boycotts anything that can and will support her work. That includes any book she produces, any media tied to her name, and anything she can profit from. And as such, when the game got glowing reviews by literally everyone, fans of the franchise rejoiced. This was their time to finally play as a student of the wizarding world. College students taking a break from school to go to another school. Wage slaves with dead dreams would finally be able to go back to a much more magical and creative part of their lives. It was finally time to LARP as a magical honorary British, the worst kind of British. But from the depths of the cesspool known as X, formerly Twitter, J.K. Rowling's detractors raged, cursing the game's existence. This was going to be a hit and they were aghast of the prospect. This game is a danger to trans people and it was going to be harmful for the LGBT community, especially the T. This was going to actually murder people, and anyone supporting it are bad. Even though the game has a trans character and that the people behind the game, even the staff, are actually very actively supportive of the movement. But let's actually just ignore the details. The IPs that Rowling made is evil, and anybody who enjoys it are evil themselves. Let's create a website so we can know which supporters of murder we need to witch hunt and boycott. Wink, 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 wink. And the most infamous among them, the genocide supporter, known as Amano Pikamee. But first, a little something about Pikamee. Pikamee is a VTuber under the VOMS project. She's a VTuber that has been around for quite a long time and was instrumental in the foundation of the small corpo and indie EN industry. In fact, her Let's Kill the Hoe clip was the one that dragged many people to the rabbit hole, indirectly helping the VTuber industry grow into the size that it is now. She's actually one of the most wholesome and nicest VTubers in the world. She was bullied growing up, turning to the internet for some semblance of escapism after years upon years of odd and less than desirable jobs. Everybody loved Pikamee. From Hololive to Nijisanji, VShojo, and small corpos to countless of indie circles, she was as drama-free and politics-free and unhateable as a VTuber could get. In January of 2022, she took an indefinite break for health reasons, and for her comeback, she decided to make this tweet, expressing her desire to play Hogwarts Legacy as a way to relive her childhood, a franchise that is near and dear to her. Pikamee's fanbase were glad that she was coming back, and after a month of inactivity, it was all celebrations and merriment all around. You probably already know how this story was gonna go. In another timeline, Pikamee would have come back from this hiatus and played the wizard game, with nary an infliction to her mental health, without being ground zero of the Hogwarts Legacy Drama, without causing any sort of controversy. But we live in a timeline where that didn't happen. Pikamee was faced with an onslaught of negative comments, calling her names that were simply not true, all in the notion of criticizing her. She cancelled the stream later, and fans, while upset that Pika was forced to do this, still half expected her return to play another game. They waited for her announcement with bated breath. Hours, days, weeks came. Nothing. The fanbase became scared and furious and grieving. She just took a break and was about to return. Now, she has been pressured into taking another one. And it was her folding that emboldened these harassers to come after other streamers too. If they could take down big streamers like Pikamee and bully her enough to make her stop playing the game, then the same tactic should work for everyone else too. As such, the witch hunt continues. Countless of other content creators getting bombarded with discouragement and criticism from playing the game. But then there were actually idiots that decided to harass and bully the living shit out of them. But hey, we can't talk about other lowly forms of content creators like flesh tubers, regular streamers. We're here for VTubers, the superior kind of content creators. And the week following Pikamee's silence, there were other more feisty characters that seemed to raise the middle finger towards the Twitter people, such as the case of Muna, who proceeded to be based, followed by her wife Ayofi, who also proceeded to be based, and followed by literally Nijisanji and Hololive, who proceeded to also be based by playing the wizard game. And you can probably tell how these people reacted. But VShojo also had one feisty character who decided to support genocide and advocate for the murder of these people. The absolute slut, the whore, the harpy, the vixen, the vamp, the siren, the man-eater, the total fucking bitch, VShojo's Silvervale. Unlike Pikamee, who got harassed even though she didn't play the wizard game, Silver did play the wizard game, making it morally okay to bombard her. The word trans was even muted. And although at first it seemed like concerned citizens only criticized the action itself in a polite way, fortunately, there were brave soldiers who went full-blown harassment and throwing a little campaign all over her social media, leading to her breakdown on stream, mentioning how her and her family and her friends were getting hard doxed. And you would think that such harassers would have a come to Jesus moment, maybe rethink their approach if they wanted their boycott to be taken seriously. But if you thought that, you give Twitter freaks too much credit, because a load of them would even call her crying completely fake and just begging for attention. Oh, woe is me, who got unjustifiably harassed after playing the wizard game. Surely, I would fake crying on public, crippling my reputation among certain demographics, fan the flames of an already fierce dumpster fire, and humiliate myself on stream just for some brownie points among transphobes? Truly, this is one of the business decisions of all time. And another VShojo member, Froot, on her own chat after Silver cried on stream, even said this, which is widely interpreted to be her supporting the movement while asking her crowd to forgive Silvervale? Silvervale then mentioned on her Discord, after being reached out by some of the more reasonable people, that the reason why the word trans was banned from her Twitch chat was not because she hated the trans people or was against the movement, but because it was under automod review on Twitch. And that why she decided to blank out from the internet for a while was because she needed time to collect her thoughts before making a statement. Oh, and while all of this happened, Froot, while the fires were still fierce, decided to make a stand, making a donation call to Mermaids, a charity group that supports gender-diverse children. But maybe she should have chosen a better trans organization. Not that the support would mean much anyway, because she actually hasn't fulfilled that promise yet.
Where is the money?
Oh, she did mention that she'll just pick another org. But hey, we'll get to that later. And look, just so we can make it clear here, I support the LGBT plus movement. I support trans people. I support feminism. I love women. My mom, VTubers, are women. And hell, most of them are gay or pretend to be, so of course I support them. How can you claim that I don't? Nazuna was also contacted and told not to stream the wizard game. And considering how she deals with harassment, I'd say this was a good decision for management. In fact, Holo EN and Niji EN members were prevented from playing the wizard game as well. Niji EN, at least, was confirmed to have been restricted to avoid the drama altogether, and Holo EN, although we have no confirmation, most likely thought the same. I mean, most other VTubers did avoid the game actually. Other bigger VTubers also chimed in on Pikamee's and Silvervale's harassment, marking the distinction between the LGBT plus community and the rabid hooligans who was ruining the protest and undermining the efforts of the community. Gee, who could have thought that other streamers and VTubers are able to have more nuanced opinions on the matter? Maybe there's actually people out there that realize that the LGBT plus community isn't a monolith. That just because you disavow the harassment doesn't mean you disavow the movement. And that just because you support the boycott doesn't mean you support the harassment. But hey, Twitter freaks won't believe that, or in nuance at all. If you're not with us, you are against us. Silvervale eventually came back to play the wizard game and proudly claimed genocide endorser status, officially telling the Twitter people to fuck off and even coining the term Twitter freaks, which then became a term widely used to describe asshole slacktivists on Twitter who does nothing but harass people. Mainstream news outlets made their headlines about the whole situation, and the VTubing community became ground zero of the Hogwarts Legacy Drama, infecting our dearest corner of the web with normies and tourists and more V-tweeters. Of course, the harassment intensified, with Twitter freaks now calling to question VShojo's moral standing and where they stand in this discussion. How dare these groups of absolute turf sluts not support the LGBT plus movement and advocate for genocide? Even though Silvervale again voiced her support for the community as a whole and really only specified the bullying assholes.
LGBT people are awesome. Twitter people are not awesome. Fuck you.
But shut up! Shut up! He doesn't mean that! Silvervale is evil! She is endangering people! How is she endangering people? Look! There's a trans VTuber who committed suicide because of the harassment from all this Hogwarts Legacy bullcrap. That is this whore Silvervale's doing! Her army of TERFs caused all of this! Not only does shit like this sabotage the efforts of the trans community and be used as ammunition against their cause in the future, it also just kinda makes them look bad. Other than this person pretending to have a dead trans cousin for clout and attention, a few people were also pretending the harassment didn't happen and that this was some manufactured outrage just to undermine the cause.
Bitch!
The war raged on. Many streamers played the wizard game. Some avoided it, not out of principle, but because they didn't want to deal with the drama with Twitter freaks. Days passed. Weeks. Silence from Pikamee worried her fanbase. In the meantime, Nijisanji and Hololive members, again excluding EN, were just casually enjoying the game. And they're having a great time. The drama was dying down a few days later, as all dramas do. They just fade into the abyss, into irrelevancy, and as something to laugh at, as the internet waited for the next piece of news to pour outrage over. All of this, while heated and quite upsetting, regardless of which side you are, was supposed to be just A-tier drama at best. Pikamee would come back in a victorious feast and celebration from her fans, telling everyone to go fuck themselves. The Twitter freaks would latch on to the next non-VTuber streamer playing the wizard game and leave the VTubers alone, and it would be business as usual. But God himself decided to grip this filthy drama cow's teats and squeeze its milk for all it's worth. Come the beginning of March, nearly a month after Pika got harassed, her fans were met with a graduation announcement instead of a triumphant return. Her live streams and videos privated, her social media deactivated, her merch discontinued, and literally all content pertaining to her in any way in the official VOM's channel wiped. Pika would go the unbased route and denounce her genocide supporter status. And the entire English VTuber industry erupted. If the Pikamee harassment and the Silvervale harassment was a dumpster fire, Pikamee's graduation was a stinky firestorm. This pushed the fanbase from the defensive to the offensive, attacking every single person they could find, even those in the LGBT+ community that had nothing to do with the drama. Not that there were a few bad actors that were already doing so, it's just that this time, it went maximum overdrive. Fans were out for blood, and spill them, they did. Hell, it was not just the fans, it was also a few VTubers. VTubers like Pippa, who actually played the wizard game not because she liked the franchise, in fact she said she doesn't like it, but out of spite. And the tweet itself garnered a shit ton of attention of all sorts, gaining the VTuber notoriety. Pippa was the one who turned this shitstorm into a shit hurricane. It also gave her a massive boost and elevated her career. One VTuber's rise to pay for one VTuber's fall. A fair trade, many people would say, much to the chagrin of all Twitter freaks. While a lot of people genuinely supported Pippa's protest and supported this massive fuck you to the Twitter freaks, a lot of people in the morally distasteful sorts also generally saw Pippa as a symbol of aggressive conduct, I suppose. And that was bad. A lot of people understood that this was just Pippa saying fuck you to the Twitter freaks, not the actual LGBT+ community that took no part of this. It prompted her to make a follow-up tweet to explain things. See, the unfortunate part of doing what Pippa did is that it's volatile. The reality of this entire drama was that there were bad actors for both sides of this war. On one side, there were people who genuinely supported the LGBT+ movement and are massively upset and were in the defensive. They don't blame the entire community or their allies or the trans community for this. They just don't like the bad apples that started bullying innocent people and were referencing those instead of grouping them all together. And there were also those who just kinda used the war as an excuse to attack a community that they perhaps always hated or perhaps have now started to hate. Out for blood and going full mask off and being transphobic and being indiscriminately hateful in the name of a VTuber they love. Some people even concerned Andied and pretended to be upset VTuber fans just to join in on the war. And on the other side, there were allies and LGBT figures themselves who genuinely dislikes and disavows this hateful bullying campaign. Some people just wanted to protest in peace, but again there were also bad apples among those allies. Slacktivists and people so far in the deep end of politics that they genuinely think harassing other people were justified. People who decry hatefulness but are hateful themselves. This was what Pippa wanted to understand with this tweet. She didn't want people, regardless of their side, to get the wrong idea. This is what Pikamee, Silvervale, Shy Lily, and other VTubers wanted to understand. And unfortunately, some people just couldn't understand that. Again, regardless of which side you are, it's that you're either with us or against us mentality that is always so dangerous. There will always be bad people, regardless of which community you are in. The irony of reality is that any group branded as peaceful or provides a safe space can sometimes turn out to be the most abhorrent and terrible group you can find, and that any group branded as hateful or morally incorrect can sometimes turn out to be the most understanding and friendly group you'll bump into. After Pipa played the wizard game and joined in, there were a few cancellation attempts that ultimately didn't go anywhere, but eventually, the hate died down. The wizard game, as all single-player games, eventually lost interest in the public eye. And the drama became S tier because of all that happened. The VTubing industry became the battlefield of this culture war. Pikamee, my beloved. I didn't want to live without her. I escaped the rabbit hole ever since. War is hell, I tell you. Nobody wins in conflicts such as these. I came to this show, to this channel, because it gave me a voice. But now I'm ready. DN, you bastard. I understand now the flames of war. The peace that was robbed from you. I understand your pain. The Kryukoko War. I may think mine was terrible, but yours? It must be a nightmare. I only endured it for a month, but you? For almost an entire year. Oh, I can't stomach the thought. I bet you still have nightmares over it. I wish I was as strong as you, to have your resiliency, to have the strength to carry out what Pikamee embodied. She was a symbol of peace, of fun and enjoyment, and I failed her. I joined the war. I did things. Terrible things. And now I must pay for them. I must join my beloved Oshi. I've fulfilled my end of the bargain now. I've told people my story. So now, it's time to fulfill yours. Please. Wakata. Avada Kedavra. Oi, mate, there's a new VShojo member about to debut soon. Yeah? What about it? Lots of rats that it might be Pikamee, man. You might want to see it. That's impossible. Pikamee is tired of VTubing. The voices in my head tell me so. Besides, she has current health issues. I know she's friends with VShojo members, but to literally graduate and rebuild her career, she set up herself as Pikamee? It doesn't sound like a good... Just fucking listen, man. Fine. Give me that.
Hello! Hello! Henya! Can you guys hear me?
Oh.
Hello?
Huh.
Konnichiwa!
The bastard died for no reason. Well, seems like I have to fill in his shoes. Anyway, turns out Pikamee has been planning this graduation for quite a long time. Now, a lot of people may have thought that this is cope, and that the Bombs project just did this as an attempt to not fuel the drama. But I mean, come on, Pikamee graduated at the end of March, and Henya came on May, and has an entire lore animation, trailer, a decent model, and everything. That's a 1 to 2 month window. Anyone, and I mean anyone, working in this industry would probably guess that you cannot make all the work that was set for Henya in only 2 or even 3 months' time. A debut of this magnitude would have been close to impossible in the short time frame that they have. Nobody just thinks of this kind of shit on a whim, you know? There's also the fact that people were pretty much already talking about how they knew Pikamee's graduation a long time ago.
I did know in advance about this, because she did message me. She messaged me at the end of January that, you know, she was deciding this.
So, suffice to say, I really don't think the harassment was a direct cause of Pikamee's graduation. But that doesn't mean the harassment didn't do any harm though. Because aside from her mental health, Pikamee was literally just about to come back from a 1 month half break. She was silent for an entire goddamn month before this graduation announcement, cutting a lot of time between her and her fanbase and potentially expediting the graduation process, making the experience worse for everyone. Now, Henya's appearance did two things. It made the people who actually harassed Pikamee or supported her harassment feel vindicated. And the other thing is that it actually lifted VShojo's reputation from a sinkhole at that time. 2 weeks or so before Henya's appearance, Silvervale, Vebe, and Nyanners actually left VShojo, with quite a lot of drama around Silvervale seemingly throwing shade at Ironmouse, and Vebe explicitly saying that being in the company was not a good financial decision for them. There were even fears that Ironmouse might even leave, and that she was still negotiating with the company. All of this led to VShojo tanking reputational and probably internal damage, with some, including yours truly, questioning the longevity of the company with the mode of business that it has. There also seemed to be nothing to indicate that Froot or the harassment played in Silvervale's decision, although a lot of people were happy that Vale was leaving VShojo. But hey, I guess the feeling was mutual because she seemed to be pretty content in leaving too. Henya's appearance actually made everyone forget about what just happened, with people now praising the company for saving this girl in need of a good home. But we're not done talking about VShojo because we're still yet to talk about one particular member, Apricot Froot. Alright, so remember this. It's pretty tiring to spam the worth the money Froot memes, but essentially, yeah, could have chosen a better trans org. And she did say she would swap out the org if need be, so I really also don't think it's not that deep. Besides, mermaids actually underwent immediate action and removed that one pedo from their group, so that's good. Still feel iffy about them secretly giving kids breast binders and making not entirely accurate claims that may have life-altering consequences to children though. But the reason why a lot of people shat on her for this wasn't really because of the organization that she chose. That was just an add-on reason to hate on Froot even more. While the sentiment shown is good, the actual reason why a lot of people did not like this was because they interpreted it as Froot throwing Silvervale under the bus after she broke down on stream. That this was just grandstanding in the middle of the Pikamee bullying and the Silvervale harassment, making it worse and making it seem like she chose the side of the harassers, even if that was not her intention. Unlike the statements of those before and after her, this didn't really have any nuance or specifics placed in it, so many people couldn't pick out any specifics from it either. That vagueness is the breeding ground for many people to come to their own conclusion, and usually, it's the worst kind of conclusion. Most indie VTubers who got caught in the crossfire actually suffered a similar fate. By not specifying and differentiating or even identifying that such a divide was there, both sides just kind of assumed the worst conclusions from each other, and assumed that they were in support of the bad actors. The second reason people were mad at this was that she said she was going to donate that money, something that until now hasn't been publicly fulfilled. People wanted her to put her money where her mouth is, especially since she did grandstand and made an entire song and dance about it. Regardless of the organization she chose, which again, she would choose a better org, she had to give the money, send out the 50-something grand to the organization she declared she would give it to. But she has not. Even if she didn't state a deadline, every single day that she delays serves as ammunition to many of her haters. Not that the roars of her haters matters to her though, because she's going the ignoring the haters approach. She learned well from Pikamee, if she learned it from Pikamee at all or was just advised not to do so. At this point, giving out more money than intended would be the reputational W for her. In any case, Pikamee found a new home. Silvervale discovered a newfound determination. Her skin toughened, mind tempered, and Pipa enjoys a career she only dreamed of attaining. At the end of the day, perhaps this drama was a blessing in disguise for the VTuber industry. The worst has passed. It's certainly not the most disastrous war that has been waged in this industry, but nor will it be the last. But for now, the soldiers can come home, return to your Oshis, live in the perpetual state of being entertained, consume your VTuber brain rot, and live happy. Hogwarts and its legacy in this little corner will be remembered forevermore as a swirling, stinky
Except for put my ends a yens, put my best a best, put my 10 a 10, or put my spend a spend, have size, except for put my ends a yens. my best, put my 10 to 10. Put my spend,